Why March 2000? Because it was absolutely certain to all the authorities in this country that the year in which the Pope revisited the Polish Catholic Pope, Wojtyla.
John Paul II.
I think he was John Paul II is indeed what he was called because he took his name from the previous two popes, John and Paul. The John that there was there, and I say this again to you with all due respect, the name John and John is actually the death of Christianity or the Judaism in Christianity.
Okay, well, I don't like the name John anyway.
Anyway, okay. In this country, they were absolutely convinced that when the Pope came here, at the same time as Jesus was going to be reincarnated for his return visit, that there were going to be thousands upon thousands of people suffering from Jerusalem syndrome, lo aleinu.
Which means?
Jerusalem syndrome means something very simple.
Yeah.
Something happens to people when they are in the air and on the ground of Jerusalem who are absolutely without any kind of background of mental instability or illness. They come here, they start chucking their clothes off, they start burning down the Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Wow.
And it's known in the psychiatric lexicon as the Jerusalem syndrome. And they were convinced there would be hundreds and thousands. In the end...
How do you explain the Jerusalem syndrome?
I don't.
What's the cause?
I've read an awful lot about it.
Tell us.
I still don't claim to understand it, and neither do.
On one leg.
On one leg, all that you can do with Jerusalem syndrome is cure it. And you can only cure it by a huge dose of calming the person down physically, putting him on a plane and flying him back to Buenos Aires.
I mean, what's the trigger? What triggers Jerusalem syndrome? On one leg.
It isn't a story for one leg.
Second leg.
All I can tell you about the standing on one leg is that Jews do not generally suffer from it. I'll give you an example of one who did. There was a South American-born Florida real estate guy, very, very young, who came here with his millions. The first thing that he did was to buy the most important football team in this country, soccer. Okay? His name was Aguirre, not that important. The last place he was known to have inhabited as a free citizen was that he was climbing the fence into Gaza, and when the soldiers came and pulled him down, he said, "I'm just going to release Gilad Shalit." And they said, "Okay, sunshine, you will be disappeared." And he was disappeared. They put him back on his ship in Florida, and the ship was found abandoned with no Aguirre.
Why do Jews suffer or enjoy Jerusalem syndrome?
Because Jerusalem is full of the kind of energy that Jews, please excuse me, this is not favoritism, but Jews know how to utilize, what to do with it, and to keep a level head. What we are talking about is actually the attempt of people like me, may I rest in eternal peace for saying so, who actually try to bring down celestial Jerusalem to an earthly Jerusalem. And there are people, by the way, there are two offshoots of this particular disposition called Jerusalem syndrome. One of them is Americans in Florence, and the other is Japanese in Paris.
Really?
Some similarity.
You'll find it on the net, you'll find it as an explanation, you won't find it as a therapy because there is none. And we all know the dangers of Jerusalem syndrome. It's jihad.
What do you mean jihad?
Could you paraphrase?
It's jihad. Once you became a fanatic of Jerusalem and for Jerusalem, you'll kill.
Okay.
Is there any chance...
Jihad is the ultimate Jerusalem syndrome.
Is there any chance David will get Jerusalem syndrome?
No way.
Why not?
Because he's got a Jewish soul.
That's why?
He has a Jewish soul, and there's no danger whatsoever of
There you
him
go.
picking up this thing by chance. He's not going to. I already seen him a couple of days wearing the same clothes, so he's certainly not going to run through the streets of Jerusalem discarding
Naked.
his raiments of garments of things.
I don't want to get sunburned.
See, I saw him when he was climbing that. That is not Jerusalem syndrome.
Oh, that's
Jihad is Jerusalem syndrome.
Really?
An organized, massive threat that the Jews may actually occupy Waqf land underneath the dome of the rock.
So even this kind of madness you associate with.
Absolutely.
so. Is Jerusalem syndrome is sort of almost like an anti-Jewish thing?
No, all I said was that statistically, Jews are not that prone
Prone to it.
to the business. It's not that they cannot. This guy that I was describing just now, the South American multimillionaire, he was half Jewish.
Okay, so it's a form of fanaticism.
It's a form of fanaticism which is totally of the soul.
Okay.
And jihad.
Benji, do you have some form of Jerusalem syndrome?
Do I? I have been known at times in the past to go way beyond what should be said and what should be done and with whom, and I've usually been forgiven.
It's because of the Jerusalem influence triggers.
Absolutely. There are days when I've come back from a day in Jerusalem, business meetings, checking out things, visiting people, that I come home and I'm capable of flying. One of my friends, who's a medium, said, "You do realize, don't you, that it's not Jerusalem syndrome that you are serving. But the serving is being done for you to test and try your ability to live with this incredibly, what is the word in English? Something that's conflagracious? Something which is incendiary. Jerusalem is incendiary. It has nothing to do with the temperature of the air. It has nothing to do with the state of the trees. It has nothing to do with the degree of commerce which is being done in commercial centers. But it is here. It is here for one and all, and it is in such an incredible condensed mass, basically of religion and basically of faith, that it is not safe for the world. I know people who have left Jerusalem, who have ceased living in Jerusalem because of the dangers which are inherent in Jerusalem syndrome. There is no cure. It can be diagnosed as, if it lasts between 3 and 4 days and no more, then it's easily tranquilized and flown off the planet. And it's been for me a heavy burden because Jerusalem does it for me.
But it's both happiness and high and
Everything.
highness.
Everything.
Everything.
It's everything which is a high level of energy and energy between people.
With like a short-
Check out now when you get home. Make your own little booklet of the people you spoke to today. What you spoke about them. You'll never find another place on earth where you can go through a similar experience anonymously. Nobody asked you your name. They did formally say, "So where are you from?" "You're from Australia." Da, 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 da. And each one of them had a message. Each one of them had their way of saying, "We are Jerusalem." And I'll say it again in simple terms. All that I see people that are actually afflicted by one thing and another is the ability, the hope of bringing down celestial Jerusalem to earthly